Alrighty, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Serving Nerve, where we talk about whatever we want, and today we're going to be going through more non-binary cringe compilations. That's right, we're going to try and figure this out, try and figure out what the binary on the non is, and yeah. So a little disclaimer, like I said in the last video, I don't really care what your sexuality is, if you're part of the LGBT or not, if you are anything, I don't really care. If you identify as whatever. But one thing I want to talk about is the whole non-binary sector of the LGBT community, predominantly because it's confusing and inconsistent. And I figured we would just go through some cringe compilations about it and check out what people have to say about it and all that good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's just get into it. Me thinking I was female to male and pan in middle school. This is the other thing that blows my mind. When I was in middle school, I wasn't worried about this kind of thing. When I was in middle school, the only things I cared about when I would attend school, because I usually skipped, were what video games can I play today? How can I get away with playing video games in class? Who else would like to play video games with me whilst I'm in class? And how many bananas can I manage to fit into the ventilation system without my teachers knowing, or without me causing actual significant property damage, enough to cost more taxpayer dollars to the system? I don't know. When I was in middle school, I was much less worried about finding myself and much more worried about finding any way I could get away with not going to school and or playing video games. So, I don't know, man. Oh, how the times change.
And I was wrong. I'm singing the Stan Wrong song. I shouldn't have taken that chance. Now here's my remorseful dance.
Me now actually knowing I'm non-binary and I like girls. Okay. This is the thing, bro. I'm like, do whatever you want when it comes to this thing. As long as you're an adult with other consenting adults, there's no shame. Like, this is the thing I don't get, is why are you worried about, like, how you come off to people or your identification? I don't think you have to worry about thinking, like, oh my god, I'm actually trans and I'm pansexual. But no, now I'm non-binary and I like women and blah, blah, blah. It's like, just don't worry about it. It's all identification. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, how you identify and, like, all that stuff. Just do your thing. Like, this is the big dealio. It's like, don't worry about it. I feel like a lot of these people really worry about finding their identification and finding the box that fits them in. And, oh, I'm not a woman. I'm actually, like, non-binary now. Ironically, you trying to break from your current box has you, like, finding yourself constantly trying to, like, repackage yourself as some sort of person, identifying as some sort of thing, or, you know, some kind of person for, in my opinion, no real reason. Like, you don't have to worry about this kind of, like, thing. I just feel like people are focused on, like, the wrong kinds of things when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, when you're so young, you don't have to worry about that kind of dealio. Like, you can just do your thing. Like, wear what you want to wear, be who you want to be, go out with who you want to go out with, and then, like, it all just come naturally. Like, you don't have to worry about being like, oh yeah, I'm in middle school. Like, when you're in middle school, you're like 12 to 14. Like, you're all just hitting puberty. Like, you don't have to be, like, worried about, like, what you're identifying as and what your sexuality is and all that stuff. You can just do your thing and be you. Like, it just, I can't believe it because it's so young. And it's like, when I was a kid, I was not worried about this. Even in high school, I wasn't even focused on this kind of thing. But high school is when people really start, like, kind of figuring out what they're into and what they like. And then getting older and older, you start figuring it out more and more. But, like, when you're so young, like, you're like 12, 13, 14, like, it's wild, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It just blows my mind because I never had the idea of, like, going on dates with people at the age of 12 or, you know, in middle school. My focus was always like, how can I play more video games? How can I have more fun? How can I do more stuff? How can I make more friends? Like, how can I meet people, you know? Like, that was my focus. So it's just when I hear people talking about, like, yeah, I was trans when I was like 12, I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking crazy. But nowadays it's like, oh no, I actually am FTM and pan in middle school. I would be horrified in middle school if I had to deal with this kind of crap. I would get so confused so quickly. Sam Smith isn't a he. They came out as non-binary in March. So far, I don't think any of these people are above the age of like 15 or 16. I refuse to believe it.
So, this isn't a video I thought I was gonna have to make. Let me put this simply. If you don't believe in non-binary genders, if you think that trans women or trans men aren't real women or men, if you try to disrespect or gatekeep with the LGBT community, get the fuck out.
I have to agree with one thing. The LGBTQ community, you can identify with it or not. Like, you can't gatekeep it because it's like an open community for everybody of all sexualities and everything. So, you know, if somebody's trying to gatekeep you from it, it's gonna be rough.
Like, I'm sorry, what the hell are you even doing on my page? I just had somebody leave a comment on one of my videos saying, it was a video about using gender non-specific language, and they said, I deleted it already, I didn't leave it, but something about there's only 2 genders.
You know, I have to say, if you have a page, like, online, on TikTok, on YouTube, or anything like that, like I do, or like a lot of other people do, like this person does, you have to expect people to judge you, give backlash to you, make comments disagreeing with you, calling you out, giving their opinion. They have every right to. It's a public space. The internet's a public space. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. I wouldn't recommend trying to delete the comments. Personally, I always leave everybody's comments up, and sometimes YouTube will filter them out and whatever, but I don't like it. I turn off all my filters because I would rather have people just give their opinions and other people agree or disagree with them than me worry about what people think or trying to, like, cover up the comments and give myself such a clean comments section. It's just silly. Like, you should just not worry about it. Why invest the time into calling out comments or deleting comments or anything like that unless they're, like, doxing you or something like that? There's no point. And again, in this regard, don't worry about, like, deleting comments and stuff. Just let the pieces fall as they may. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the absolute worst thing that could happen? You know, people just don't like you or something. It's just, I don't know. This is the weird thing. It's like, I feel like with the LGBTQ community, the people who identify as non-binary or trans or whatever, I feel like you want to do the opposite thing than conform. Like, I feel like you want to do the opposite than, like, blend in and stuff or be boxed into, like, a specific group of people. Like, I just feel like it's so, like, you should just not worry about it. Like, why worry about what other people think of you? Isn't the entire point of, like, you identifying as what you want to identify as not worrying what other people think of you? I don't know.
Sorry, my name on here is non-binary nerdbot. My profile has they, them pronouns in it, real big and bold for everyone to see. Get the fuck out! What are you even doing here? Like, I'm sorry that you're clearly lost, but please get the fuck out before I block you. Ain't nobody got time being negative bullshit. Bye, bitch.
I don't know how people have time to block people, honestly. That would take forever to try and block all the people who disagree with you. But again, like, people have the right to disagree with you regarding, like, gender identity and stuff like that. It's a very weird subject to have conversations about. A lot of people don't want to openly talk about it for fear of being called a bigot, but personally, I'm expecting to get canceled at some point, so I may as well just say my thing and then see where the cookie crumbles. But again, like, I don't really feel like people should worry about it. Like, having this conversation and not shutting it down via blocking people and cutting off comments and stuff, having an appropriate conversation with people is actually how you work through each other's differences or allow each other to, you know, understand, disagree, agree, learn from one another, or to allow them to kind of have that idea in their mind and then to think it over and be like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I've come from many political extremes throughout my life. Like, I've been all over the spectrum of thought throughout many points in my life, you know, and I come from Canada where this is a very common thing. But the number one thing that you really don't want to do is shut down the conversation. Having an open conversation with people is a very good thing to do, and it also just makes you come off as a responsible adult. And whether you identify as non-binary or a man or a woman or a they or a them or a z or a zer or whatever, if you can't have a conversation and if you become fragile due to your, you know, processes of identification, that's when things are going to become much more difficult for you.
I'm tired of being sad all the time and hiding who I am. So I guess technically this is me coming out. Oh god, I'm nervous. My name is Hal, and I am a non-binary pansexual.
I'm not gonna lie, man. One, you should probably not come out to the internet, because the internet's gonna just troll the fuck out of you. But also, like, do whatever you want, and why proclaim your nervousness? It's just silly. I don't know, man. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's just like, I feel like coming out, you know, big dealio bop right there. They're making it look like a big deal. It's a big deal. You're probably up the wrong alley if you're expected to be treated with, like, kid gloves and have a kind audience say congratulations for coming out. We all love you. Like, I feel like the internet's not the best place to do that, not gonna lie.
Alrighty, everybody, repeat after me. asexual, pansexual, bisexual, trans people, and non-binary people are 100% valid and definitely part of the LGBTQ community. And if you don't like that, suck my dick.
Do whatever you want, but again, like, why are we all seeking being, like, validated through specific communities of people? I feel like it's just bad. You should validate yourself as the number one important thing. And, you know, it's kind of ironic because all of these people that I see in these compilations with the LGBTQ community and whatnot, I'm not trying to generalize, but they're all identifying as one community, so I am going to generalize the community. They all have this, like, you know, I don't, you know, want to be defined by this, this, and this. I'm my own person. I'm coming out as my own individual. I am my own individual, you know, like all that kind of stuff. But then they all just kind of like crumble in on themselves and are like super insecure, and they're not seemingly very like fortified with their perceptions of themselves. A lot of them have things like gender dysphoria. They can't cope with their own existences. And they're all struggling, and then if somebody misgenders them, they, like, break. They're, like, appealing to fragility. Like, they're just acting fragile and, like, victims and weak. And life is hard. I'm not trying to say they've never had, like, a struggle or anything in their lives, but there's so much that encapsulates this. And I feel like the number one thing you shouldn't be doing is seeking external validation from a community that might not like you, or a community that might, you know, be not maybe the best thing for your own, like, validation. And also to be facing off with, like, the world, your loved ones, your friends, your schools, the internet, like, having to go, like, no, this is, like, my identification, this is me, like, this is my thing. And then having to combat, like, everybody just on the basis of, like, what you identify as, when you can identify as whatever you want and do whatever you want. Like, I feel like there's so much insecurity that comes with this. And that's, like, my number one problem with it. I feel like a lot of these people are very insecure and they're not, like, able to just look in on themselves and be like, this is my thing. I just do my thing. Like, a lot of these people seem to be looking for external validation, and I just don't think they're gonna get it from what they're seeking it in. Like, I don't think you can get external validation from, like, people in school and the internet and, you know, the world and all that stuff just on the basis of gender identity. Especially when, like, by the way, there are other things to life that will give you validation much more simplistically. Like, if you have grand accomplishments in life, you create a company that you're really proud of, or you do a lot of charity work, or you're a nonprofit, or, you know, you've succeeded with your career endeavors, your goals, you've succeeded in school, you have outstanding grades, you have something that's more measurable. You know, you become very successful in life, you develop a happy family, things like that. You become very successful in life. I feel like getting validation from those things is much, much easier and much more fulfilling, more so, than to do it through, like, your self-identification. I don't know, though. What do you guys think in the comments below? I'm actually very curious about this subject matter. Personally, I'm trying to be kind of nice about this, because, like, you know, I get it. Like, you know, people have insecurities in life. They're trying to find themselves. They're trying to figure themselves out. But everybody seems to not know what they want, and also they're trying to validate themselves, in my opinion, through the wrong things, and I think everybody should just do what they want. But, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Because I'm kind of like, like, I don't really know if this is gonna help anybody. Like, thinking in this direction, I don't think will help anybody. So, that's my opinion. What do you guys think in the comments below? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about the whole non-binary sector of the whole LGBT community? And, yeah, it's the video. Tell me what you think, and I hope to see you all next time, my people. It has been lovely. Slater.